Don't worry, we are friends.
GM friends, and welcome back to another episode on the FRENS Validator show. If this is your first rodeo, I'm your host Yuri Maibaum, and this show is the hub that brings together crypto pioneers, exciting projects, and a thriving community. Today marks the first episode of 2024 of our format, Overrated, Underrated with CryptoCITO, where we rate the current valuation and potential of various crypto projects. Today we will cover Solana, Sei, Celestia TIA, and many more. With that being said, CryptoCITO, good to have you back.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think this is the 6th season or 7th season of Overrated, Underrated over the past 3 years. So excited to talk about these projects.
Yeah, and first and foremost, some housekeeping here. So in this format, we rate the current valuation of numerous projects, especially in the Cosmos and beyond. And the ratings are not only focused on the current price or market cap, but also on other factors such as potential growth, community, tokenomics, and so on and so forth. And obviously, our opinions are our own. My opinion might not reflect the opinion of friends, or Cito's opinion might not reflect the opinion of STAKECITO. So if we rate a project as overrated, we do not say that we don't like the project or think that it will go to zero or something. It only means that at the time of recording, we think that the market cap or the hype is not justified right now. But obviously, this can change. In our first episode, for example, I said that I felt like FMOS is overrated. But yeah, I might have to correct my opinion since the project headed in a complete different direction since then. But on the other hand, it also means that a project that we view as underrated might not deliver at all. And yeah, that said, please take all of our opinions with a big grain of salt, especially considering that both CryptoCITO and I work with many of these projects that we mentioned on this show via STAKECITO, for example, but obviously also Friends and Cosmoverse. So let's get started. Some context, we prepare these episodes in advance, and Cito, this time it was very, very hard to find cases for projects to be overrated. So what makes it so difficult right now to not be bullish on our industry?
I also think it's important to clarify, we're not sitting down weeks in advance to analyze the numbers and go really, really deep. This is just from us being very active in Cosmos. Like Yuri said, we're working with some of these teams. So we get a lot of different insights, especially the part of actually working with a team, with a core team. And I think those are very special and unique insights, because it really tells us how committed is that team? How are they doing in terms of socializing, networking, business development, right? Those kind of things. And it's interesting. But yeah, like I said, I think we always kind of have a tough time to be not bearish, but to be to overrate projects, because we're just so bullish on most of the projects. And I think, especially in Cosmos, there has never been more bullish times, right? Now everything is coming together. Celestia had a big launch, Sei Network had a big launch, dragging in the broader crypto community into Cosmos. They're all doing their homework right now. Airdrop season left and right. We can also talk about this later on. But yeah, I mean, I'm also probably, that's also my mentality, and I think yours as well, for most part. I think for me more than for you, actually. But I'm a big perma bull. If you ask me, if you wake me up 3 a.m., no matter what day, no matter what weekday, or no matter what month, and what the price of Bitcoin, I'm always bullish. I'm always bullish, especially in Cosmos. Have been throughout the bear market. So yeah, it's good times. Just now it feels like the stars are aligning and it's all coming together. So now I'm even more bullish to my regular bullishness.
Yeah, and also important to note here, this is not your first cycle. So the reason why you are a perma bull is because you experienced a lot. So this has been my first real cycle with bear, bull, bear. I consider this as the real cycle because you go in when prices are low and the sentiment is not that bullish, and then you experience the full mania and you think we just changed the world, and then all of a sudden the bubble makes pop and all of a sudden the world looks like a disaster. But yeah, you experienced a lot throughout the years, and we will have a very special episode covering this via Builder's diary. But yeah, let's start with the first case. Do you want to start, or should I start?
You start.
Okay, so my first case is Atom. The Cosmos ecosystem is exploding, and we have a few clear winners right now. For example, Injective, Akash, Stride, if you want to say it like this. And we also have seen the comeback of many others, such as Stargaze. And the only one that is not experiencing a price explosion is actually the Cosmos Hub. And I looked at the numbers, and 1 year ago, Atom was around $15, and now it is $10. It is at $10, which means that a year ago, Atom was, more expensive compared to now. And if you have a look at a lot of other layer 1 coins that are well known in the industry, such as ETH, Sol, AVAX, and so on and so forth, they all have appreciated in price. The only exception is Atom, BNB, but in regards to BNB, to be fair, CZ retired and so there was a lot of noise, and Matic. So yeah, besides a few exceptions, Atom is really the only one that did not appreciate in price. So after the spring that we have experienced, I really wonder why Atom is where it is today, because I feel much more bullish now compared to 1 year ago because of all of these crazy developments that we have seen in Cosmos, but also in regards to the Cosmos Hub, replicated security is shipped, the AA DAO has done a tremendous job, Neutron is growing pretty fast, generally the AEZ is exploding, we now have amazing teams optimizing Atom's tokenomics, such as binary builders, Blockworks research, and the MIT. So there's a lot of work going on in this area. And besides, the people I talk to and value their opinions the most are very happy about the hub's current direction. I had an interview with Marco recently, and he said that he's extremely, extremely happy about what the hub is doing right now and the current path. And yeah, these are the reasons why I believe Atom is completely underrated right now. The latest developments have not been reflected in the price at all. So TLDR, if I diversify my portfolio by the end of the month, Atom will be definitely one of the coins that I want to accumulate more aggressively.
Yeah, I think for Atom, it's always the question, like, and I've literally heard this ever since I joined Cosmos like 3 years ago. Every year, people say, Atom is cooked, the coin is done, it's not going to go up, it's slow, it's this, it's that. And you said it, like the price performance has been underwhelming, right? But what people are not factoring into those calculations is, number one, we had a between 15 and 20% staking APR throughout the bear market, throughout the past 2 years. And we had airdrops left and right. The TIA airdrop was a 4 to 5 figure airdrop for some people, and many, many other big airdrops, starting with Osmosis, the first one, up until TIA, the last one, but there was Juno in between, there was Athmos in between, a lot of, it's a long, long list. But that's Atom, and I think it still is relevant as an airdrop-based token. But also what I'm seeing now is more talks and discussions around building new business models, right? And I'm very, very bullish on time wave. This could actually be one of the core business models for Atom, because time wave is building on top of Neutron, which is already Atom secured. So there's full alignment there. And they want to build an application, or basically a feature that would allow for Atom liquidity to be rented out to other chains and other applications, especially in DeFi. So that would foster Atom's role as interchain capital, and also it would create revenue, generate money for Atom, for the treasury, for maybe even the stakers, right? There can be revenue shares. So we're seeing like those ideas, and TimeWave is a project by Sam Hart, OG Cosmos person. Zaki wants to do things around inscriptions, around Atom Wars, gamification and those kind of things. So there's a lot of ideas floating around. And also the hoodie you're wearing, Noble. I think the community is now trying to push that over the finish line, because Noble migrating to Atom, I think this would make me even more bullish on Atom. But yeah, at the same time, I also want to clarify that if you now want to like get into Cosmos, holding Atom, I would say holding Atom is a must, but also it's not enough. You need to have exposure to other assets because Atom does not represent the entire Cosmos. So that's my philosophy here.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on that. But yeah, as you mentioned, so much has happened in the past couple of months, and still there is so much development going on, especially in regards to Noble and the AEZ that I've mentioned. It's just growing, and more. Actually, also enterprises are looking into leveraging the Cosmos SDK. And my philosophy is also the more projects generally use IBC and the Cosmos SDK, the more also the hub profits. Because right now, Atom also acts as kind of an entry, for those people who want to have exposure to Cosmos generally or use the tech. So I think Atom will also appreciate from that further down the road.
Yeah, that's at least the game plan. But also, I would say the competition is quite strong. You know, Celestia just launched. There's also a project now built on EigenLayer called Ethos that wants to leverage ETH security and basically become a shared security hub for Cosmos using Ethereum as a base asset. But then also you have the informal systems team really building out interchain security on the Cosmos hub. Partial set security, I think, is a big feature that would probably make the deal for Noble. But yeah, let's see. It's a decentralized coin. I think Atom also the core value proposition. It's that's like the most decentralized coin, right? Like as much as I love Celestia, as much as I love even Sei Network, but those are brand new coins. There has to be this initial redistribution, the early backers, right? Most of the supply is still locked, and they're sitting on hundreds of X's of unrealized gains. So there's going to be a huge distribution over the next 2 or 3 years. And I think Atom already has that head start, already has all of that behind, you know? So I think that's also something that people underestimate.
Yeah, that it's more mature. But you mentioned Celestia. Let's get to the second case.
Yeah, Celestia is what I think to summarize, I think Atom is underrated for both of us, right?
Of course.
Okay. Celestia, in my view, I mean, I'm always very, very bullish. So I always say like underrated. I would actually say right now it's fairly rated. It's neutral because it has a $20 billion market cap. I think it has potential to actually become a $100 or even $200 billion market cap in the peak bull run. But right now, considering the market cap, I think it's very high, but it's also justified to a sense that Celestia is so innovative, so many years in the works, modularity, data availability, you know. Mustafa not only co-authored papers with Vitalik Buterin, but also hacked the CIA. I mean, this is probably the most bullish thing about Celestia. Their inflation schedule is decent, 8% inflation per year, going down by 10% every single year. So yeah, TIA and the TIA ecosystem is very flourishing right now. The Dimensions, the Movement Labs, Eclipse, Caldera, they're all going to bring this ecosystem truly to life, and also with it a lot of airdrops. So everyone is really excited about the airdrop season on TIA. But yeah, I also think like the hype that I'm seeing, that's why I'm saying neutral or fairly hyped right now. The hype that I'm seeing is like people have now a lot of expectations to get really rich with those airdrops. And I think a lot of people might be disappointed because not every airdrop is going to make you $10,000 plus. So neutral, but extremely bullish on the kind of long-term vision.
Yeah, I would agree on this right away. My take on this is also fairly valued. I mean, the market cap is pretty high, but this also comes through the fact that data availability is one of the strongest narratives right now in all of crypto. But yeah, we have to see how long this will be. Maybe this will be a long-term primitive in crypto, similar to what staking has become now that Ethereum merged to proof of stake. So yeah, that's why I think a relatively high valuation, but also justified. You also mentioned there are a lot of projects in the pipeline, such as Milky Way. And with those projects, there are also a lot of airdrops that people anticipate. But yeah, I think if people think, okay, if I just take, I don't know, 20 chia or something, and then because of that, I will be eligible for a 10K airdrop, I think that's a little bit naive. But yeah, still, I believe, yeah, Celestia is doing a tremendous job, especially in the BD side of things. And yeah, I'm just excited for the future of Celestia. And I think also that Cosmos can profit from that since Celestia is IBC enabled. So both of us fairly rated.
Yes.
Okay, now my third case, and it is a non-Cosmos project actually. It is Solana, because we have experienced it. Solana is back. It's now the 5th largest cryptocurrency in terms of market cap. The current market cap is $9 billion, so it is ahead of XRP. And besides that, lots of cool developments are going on. The Saga phone launched successfully. I was actually attending the launch party in Berlin in April. But then we also have seen other developments, such as Jito, and it launched with a lot of buzz because of its airdrop. And the Solana super teams, really big kudos. I'm also in Berlin a lot, and these guys are just doing a great job. And we covered Solana a year ago, and I remember how people were furious when I said Solana would shine again, but here we are. So yeah, big kudos to Solana, because yeah, without any doubt, I think this has been one of the greatest comeback histories in the history of crypto generally. But here's the thing. I believe Solana has to avoid all of the mistakes of the past, especially in terms of decentralization and uptime reliability, because we can all remember these times when Solana was down every 2 weeks or so. Plus, it was pampered with VC money. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you don't want your ecosystem to become, yeah, a pump and dump playground for big investors. And I don't think that Solana has done enough as of now not to fall into this trap once again. If we have a look at the current valuations of some Solana projects, they are all extremely high. We see market caps around 300 million in terms of G2, for example, and it used to be around $1 billion in the end of 2023. And currently, and this is what concerns me the most, currently the top 100 holders have 33% of the network power. So 100 holders hold like 33% of the current supply of SOL, and the top 10 almost hold 10%. So there are 10 entities, 10 dudes whatsoever. And I see the Solana fan base on Twitter becoming a little bit cocky again. The Ethereum community has been pretty nice to them when FTX collapsed back in the days, and especially Vitalik and all of the bankless guys. And now I see a lot of them coming out again and saying, or just bashing ETH for no reason and starting to prioritize speed over security. I literally saw this tweet where someone said, I prioritize speed over security. And that being said, big respect for Solana for this comeback. But now you are in the top 5. This comes with a lot of responsibility, especially for users and investors. And currently, I see it happening that they repeat some mistakes of the past. And this has to end. And this is why I think that Solana is overrated because of the hype, but I also want to say that it wouldn't surprise me if they do another 10 or even 20x from here.
It's interesting that you say that, because I actually have the opposite impression. My impression is that actually the Ethereum people, they feel very threatened, because obviously Solana people took their victory leaps when Sol took a 12x, when everybody called them dead. But I felt like ETH people are also, kind of, there's some toxic maximalism there. So I also felt like they were kind of not, letting them enjoy their moment. And I'm just generally not a big fan of maximalism either way, with this kind of like salty undertone, like, but you're faster, you're slower, you're this, you're that, we're better than you, I don't know. For me, it's a bit of a waste of time. So probably both sides then. But I will say that I personally feel that Solana, after this big move, is now not the most attractive trade because it's already a $45-50 billion ecosystem or coin, SOL coin. But like I said, I also don't really see the whole ecosystem like as mature, as complete. And yeah, I think a lot of it has been driven also because of like speculation and that whole collapse to kind of run it back. But I think Solana still is definitely going to be around. I also saw on a podcast with Anatoly on Bankless, I think it was, where Anatoly said like 1.5-2 years ago, or even like a year ago, he was like, okay, this is how failure feels. Like he was literally thinking, okay, what if this is just it, and like we just don't recover from this. So I think the pump for now is overrated because everyone's like, Solana's the next big thing, but it just has been a major kind of relief pump that put Solana back into the race. And I think now it's really the question, like, can Solana deliver and come up to their promises? I think like you were saying. So I would say in that aspect, overrated right now. Not the most attractive trade on the market, but probably long-term, similar as Celestia, underrated in the long term. But short-term, right now, today, overrated.
Okay, so for now, we both say overrated. For now.
For now, yeah. But I mean, you never know, Bonk, dog with hat, they have their meme coin warriors like no other. They have liquid staking. They have DeFi applications going live. What is it called? MarginFi, G2, Marinade. There's a lot of cool stuff going live. So looking forward to it. Yeah, I just hope that Solana implements IBC. That's kind of
but I've heard before we skip to the next topic, before we jump to the next topic, that enabling IBC on Solana is the most difficult thing ever in terms of IBC enablement. I mean, we had the Picasso team on the ground at Cosmoverse, and they were working on shipping IBC to Ethereum, to Polygon, to Near, for years actually already. But they all said, well, Solana is really the end boss because the consensus algorithm, this proof of timestamp is so complex, which is why it most likely will take some time until this will become a reality.
I also think that there's now a lot of like competitors coming up with also this parallel execution narrative. Sei network, obviously the first one that like people are starting to like compare with it, because Sei actually has faster settlement than Solana now. So Sei is the fastest chain in all crypto right now as of today. There's also Monad coming up, parallel EVM execution. Injective is also lightning fast and kind of wants to like compete in that sense as well. So yeah, there is now more competitors coming up, and I don't know if that's my question, like, is Solana right now compared to the newer ones, or compared to something like Injective, even though Injective pumped already, or something like Sei, but Sei still has only a quarter of the valuation of Solana? That's the question, but we'll see. The market will decide.
But don't talk too much about Sei now, because I have a case for this in a second. But now your second case.
My second, so we have Nomic, an OG Cosmos project. I actually interviewed Matt and Jude back in the day on my channel, and always been interested in their approach, right? Nomic is a project that brings Bitcoin or BTC asset into the Cosmos ecosystem. They've built their standalone app chain for that, and I think that has been on mainnet now for over a year and a half. And the Nom asset is also out. There was a big airdrop that people are compounding to this date. But yeah, I think, we talked earlier about how we're like with customers working with some of the teams. And for me, to be honest, the Nomic team has been a bit of a disappointment to work with, just, on a professional level. So that kind of like turned me a bit off, to be honest, from the project. And that comes from someone who actually is an investor into the project. And also like we're running a validator. But I don't know. It has been a bit unfortunate this year or last year. So I'm kind of neutral on that project. I also think they could do much better on communications with their community, because Cosmos, in the end of the day, really is an ecosystem with a very, very passionate community. And yeah, I mean, they're not really sharing a lot of updates. There's no clear kind of timeline. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a problem child in my books for now.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, also with friends, we have validator on Nomic. So generally, we support the chain, and we love to do that. And yeah, as you mentioned, we have some insights behind the curtain through some certain things in regards to communication and BD behavior and all of those things. So this was a little bit disappointment, to be honest. So yeah, and I also agree on this update sharing aspect. I haven't seen too much from Nomic. So the whole situation toward the end of the year in 2023 was a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to stay out of drama. I understand that, like, as a content creator, I'm in the first row. I'm an easy target. There's also people that might not agree with what we're doing, also with Cosmoverse, right? There's these kind of people, and I think that's also, fine. I mean, you can never really please everyone. I think one resolution for me this year is also to, like, stop trying to please everyone, because you can't. It's impossible. And as Cosmos and crypto and everything grows, you really have to focus on your vision, your product, what you want to do. And really, if people try to, throw shade at you, try to just move on, to be honest. So, but yeah, I think this is just still at the same time important also for the community, because I feel like they also deserve a bit more communications and updates around the project, because everyone is actually really excited about it. But there just isn't this, cult around it from the core team and core developers. They're not really sharing updates. They're not really out there. And yeah, that's the situation. So Nomic is not even live yet. The token is not live yet. Like I said, I'm an investor, angel investor into Nom. So if anything, I'm fighting my own bags, but it's not live. It doesn't have a valuation, so it's hard to say right now. Is it over or underrated? I would say probably at this point it's fairly rated. But then I would say, there needs to be like more updates coming and a clear roadmap very soon, because things are moving, right? And we haven't heard anything for quite some time now. But yeah, that's why for me it's kind of fairly rated, but I'm also not like fully up to date with everything. Like, the team is also not even responding. They're not really reachable, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I think this is a good way to wrap it up, and obviously we hope for a huge Nomic comeback, since yeah, we have validators on the chain, so you are even invested there personally. So yeah, we are fans. We want Nomic to succeed again. This is not, if we say a project is overrated, we don't want to bash them or say this coin is going to zero or something. That's really not the case.
That's correct, yeah.
Speaking of overrated, now I want to get to my third case, and my case is for Sei. So the current market cap, not fully diluted, but the current market cap is $1.7 billion. You mentioned it. Sei is apparently around a quarter worth of what Solana is worth, and the ecosystems, like in terms of activity, community, trading volume, TVL, are like very, very different. And people are preaching, say, also for airdrops. I say stake, say, get airdrops and whatnot. But I mean, all of what I've said about Solana also is true for Sei, in my view. It gives me big Solana vibes in that sense, but not in a good way. But yeah, there are like numbers that concern me actually more, which is Astropod, for example, which is apparently the largest DEX on Sei, with $10 million in TVL, and which is okay. But then the second step is a liquid staking solution I've never heard of, and then followed by Levana with $340,000 in TVL. So the third largest DApp on a $1.7 billion ecosystem has a TVL of $340,000, and Is this ecosystem worth $1.7 billion at this stage? In my book, no. I know they have an interesting tech, but also Injective and Solana have. We talked about this. So they play in the same battleground, and the ecosystem of Injective is 5 times bigger in TVL and volume, and they are also closing one major partnership after the other. Yes, also the market cap for Injective is bigger, and Injective exists for a bit longer. But yeah, again, their market cap represents like much more fairly the traction that Injective has. So yeah, I mean, let's really not forget we are talking about $1.7 billion for an ecosystem that has not so much traction right now in terms of true user activity, in terms of TVL and volume. And again, for me as a more traditional investor in crypto, I would say for $1.7 billion, you have to prove a lot. And yeah, right now, the numbers don't justify the valuation. So this is why Sei right now for me is overrated, but I would also not be surprised if Sei does another 10 or 20x. But yeah, also be careful because there are a lot of big investors involved once again. And I mean, you can jump on the bandwagon, but then you have to ask a question, who can pull the trigger faster? Is it the large VC or investor sitting in Austin, Texas, or is it you in your department? Yeah, that's why I say it's currently overrated.
Overrated. Okay. I think it's probably fairly rated right now. And the reason for that is because Sei is just too early to judge by these metrics. It's literally on mainnet for like 3 months now. I think a similar thing counts for Celestia, right? The Celestia ecosystem is not there yet because the Celestia chain just went live. Same for the Sei chain. I think those valuations are always like the equation of many things, right? Number one is the tokenomics. Number two is probably the backers and the VCs. Sei has incredibly strong backers. The Sei token got listed immediately on all big exchanges, huge market makers. Similar thing for Injective as well, right? So having access to so much liquidity inflows and trading volumes and trading pairs definitely helps. And if you ask me, like maybe 2 months ago, before Sei started to run from like, it was at like 15 cents for a long time, and now it's at 80. But when it was at 15, 20, I would probably say like, yeah, I don't know. The thing is, they also had this choppy start with the airdrop where a lot of people expected to get a lot more, and then they ended up getting like 20 Sei or something. So yeah, I mean, they had a very choppy start. We're probably way overhyped in the beginning, but I think now slowly, and if they really can ship parallel execution for the EVM, front running Monad, I think then they're actually underrated once that feature goes live. But yeah, I also understand like this valuation right now, and like I'm surprised. It's crazy. Like 80 cents, that means $8 billion fully diluted valuation. It is a lot. 8 billion is a lot. So fair, I would say neutral right now. But if EVM parallel EVM execution comes, underrated.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like really $8 billion is a big amount of money. And if, for example, a startup or like a unicorn has this valuation, they're like more products live, much more is going on. So like sometimes in crypto, I think it's very important to remind ourselves what the real world looks like. And right now I just see a lot of, promises, some not so promising numbers and a huge valuation, and some bad experiences here and there. And that's the reason why I'm selling.
Fair enough. But I think also like when it comes to the Sei team, like we were talking earlier about, the Nomic team. I think those are like things you can't really compare. I think the Sei team also has a strong narrative. You have a lot of ex-Robinhood people that are actually well connected in TradFi as well. Kyle Samani is invested and a big promoter as well. So I think on that level, they're actually doing quite well and they're very successful with it. But I agree. Like I think especially in the beginning and prior to launch, they could have done much better with communications, especially with the community. Because I remember like when they launched, like a lot of people on Twitter hated them really, really hard. But now it seems like they're restoring the sentiment, they're restoring the trust from the community in the team. Pulling a 20x helps for sure, or like a 10x. But yeah, and yeah, I think also to your point, I think crypto or cryptocurrencies, coins, you can't really compare them. I think there's no benchmark in anything, right? You have to compare it maybe adding traditional startup with a digital product, technology, and then also with currency or a commodity. So I think the valuations really, in the end of the day, are just irrelevant. Like the valuations are just numbers, right? And that's why, going back to my earlier point where I said about TIA, there's huge unlocks coming, right? No chart is going up only. Right now it's 8 billion, but it can be 2 billion tomorrow, right? We have seen literally Terra Luna going from 40 billion to 0 overnight. So it's all extremely volatile, extremely risky. So that's why I think it's hard to compare it to anything out there.
It's all fugazi, high frequency and numbers.
In the end of the day, yeah, it's all wild stuff.
But yeah, joking, there's another super hardworking team in crypto that you want to talk about for your third case.
Yeah, Agoric, I think this is one that is severely underrated. Strong team, absolute OGs. I think you had Dean on your Builder's Diary, where he's really explaining his entire journey, like from the 90s, like when the internet started. Like this guy's an OG, JavaScript OG, very passionate about it. The entire team, they have a huge team. I think they also raised like 80 million or something US dollars. So well-funded, big team. Cosmonauts through and through. They also helped a lot with like contributing to infrastructure. They have Agoric, which is a JavaScript-enabled smart contract platform. But I think moving forward, they actually want to pivot. I don't know exactly details. I just know that they want to like have a second go-to-market. They want like a second relaunch, basically, in terms of their narrative and the positioning. And yeah, I think Agoric as a chain, and then Inter Protocol as their kind of flagship application with the IST stable token as an over-collateralized, decentralized stablecoin. Obviously, people still have PTSD from Luna UST in 2022, but I think Agoric is well positioned, right? The only thing they need now is to build an ecosystem of decentralized applications. They need a dApp store. You know how you talked earlier about FMOS and how they're now coming back, pivoted to the Ethereum community, figured out their internal struggles from the past, and now they're building this dApp store that is launching in a few days. In a similar way, I think Agoric should come and launch a set of applications, liquidity incentive programs, user onboarding strategies, right? All these things. And then I think, BLD right now, I think only has a $200 or $300 million market cap. If I just open CoinGecko right now, it's at $207 million, fully diluted, and based on circulating 126. So that to me, like for a smart contract platform of that caliber with that team, undervalued and underrated.
I couldn't agree more. I also had a look at the market cap, and 129 million, like the current market cap, that's a bit like Phantom has a higher market cap. Phantom. So if we start to compare Agoric with layer ones in the category below Polygon, Solana, Ethereum, and so, I think this category makes sense to me. And in this category, Agoric is really killing it. So I think the market cap is very fair right now, even underrated, of course. And there are like some things I want to highlight. So for me, Agoric is one of the teams in the Cosmos that succeed extremely well in PR, marketing, and BD. Obviously, they also have to, because they are tackling a big bull here. Like JavaScript script developers bringing into crypto is a very novel approach. So I hope that they also focus a lot on hackathon in 2024, because I think this can be like a big game changer. At Cosmoverse, I really found that lovely, and it's just like very exemplary of how good they succeed in marketing and BD. They had one of the rooms where they showcase the whole ecosystem, and then there were like the different small projects presenting what they are building on Agoric. I hope we see this much more. I hope we see even more DApps on Agoric. But yeah, you also mentioned the team. I mean, Dean is around since forever. And fun fact, my girlfriend knows one founder in crypto, and this is Dean, like the first and the last name, and can connect a face to it because he has this iconic mustache. And because of Dean's mustache, I'm bullish on Agoric.
That's probably the biggest bull flag for him, yes, and for Agoric. Yes, very bullish.
Yeah, and now we are at the end. We have no more cases anymore. Maybe maybe
do a bonus case. We can make a bonus case.
A bonus case.
The Bitcoin ETF. What do you think? Is that overrated or underrated?
Good question. I would say actually fairly rated, because if you're on Twitter, you see a lot of people who are extremely, extremely bullish. But in my personal environment, I also have a lot of people saying this is a sell the news event. But what you have to understand is that the big impacts of the Bitcoin ETF will unfold in 6 to 10 or 12 months. Because you have to imagine, like, institutions that sell Bitcoin ETFs, that these are no DeFi startups or DeFi projects on a layer 1 or so. These are institutions that need insurances. They are very corporate. They have to follow all of the regulation. So for them to start shilling a Bitcoin ETF to their investors takes some time. But as soon as all of these products are ready to get chilled, then we can expect all of these people in suit on Wall Street chilling Bitcoin, essentially. And then the race is open to who shills Bitcoin even more to their clients. And yeah, then for me, it's like crystal clear what will happen. We will see retirement funds with a 1% of Bitcoin in it, things like that, or family offices, all of those things. So long term, very bullish. Short term, I would say fairly rated. Because yeah, there's like extreme excitement, but also.
What is short term for you?
The next 6 months.
And
but I mean, there's a Bitcoin halving. So this might overshadow. But like, if you just focus on the Bitcoin ETF news, I think the big waves will be made in 6 months or something.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's severely underrated, because, I mean, I think the reason why Bitcoin is over $40,000 now is probably mainly because of that over the past few months, you know. I think Bitcoin started running really in October of, like, that's only 3 months ago, where it really started running. And of course, when the announcement happened, then we saw a little wick and then went down again. And since then, it's kind of like slowly going down. But I also don't feel like it was a sell the news event. I feel like it was more like a nothing happened event. But I also think that we will only see the real effect in the next 6 months. Because as you say, there's a lot of bureaucratic stuff behind the scenes that needs to be sorted out. People need to be educated. Like, how do you actually get on board? How do you get into this ETF? So this takes time. But seeing Larry Fink on TV shilling Bitcoin as like a store of value, BlackRock creating ads, like if you told me this in like 2017 when I got into crypto, and like the number one spokesperson for crypto was John McAfee, rest in peace, but he was the number one spokesperson, and he always said, like, you know, one day it's going to be on the big scene, governments. And I was like, bro, relax. But now we are here, you know, and it's only took 6 or 7 years. So I think it's a big milestone achievement, and also underrated because I think it drives so much legitimacy to the space that with a rejection, I think would also be very bearish signal for altcoins. And the Bitcoin approval, I think, also clears the pathway for the Ethereum ETF approval, potentially in May. In May is the deadline. BlackRock also applied for it alongside FANEC and some others. So if this goes through, like beyond bullish, like we're going to see the biggest bull run in history with literally 10, 20, 30 axes, like that people can't even imagine right now. But yeah, I think even in the short term, underrated.
Yeah, like, I mean, to be fair, like, if you were like on Twitter before the announcement has happened, there was like a huge excitement. I mean, the excitement was really also justified, but I think the announcement, like how the announcement went, was a little bit disappointed, and I think, yeah, it was like this had to happen. We needed to have this one shocker before really getting relieved. But yeah, like my statement is clear. Like, I think right now everything comes a little bit down. The Bitcoin ETF is here. We are all happy. And I think we will see a huge wave in the next 6 to 8 months, also considering that the halving will take place. So yeah, long term for sure, extremely underrated right now, fairly rated. We have to get a little bit back to earth and build from here.
Let's do it.
Easy. And then maybe just wrap it up, some go-to plans for the upcoming weeks and months, because I see you talking a lot about airdrops in the past couple of weeks. I also had Serge from StakeCito on the show. We talked a little bit about an airdrop portfolio, and there was one message that I have seen on Twitter from you that is extremely important. So I really want to stress this again in regards to, you know, use crypto, be eligible for airdrops, but also keep security in mind. Can you reflect on this real quick in regards to connecting your wallet to a different website?
Yeah, I get a lot of messages from people that send me coin tickers I never heard of, links I never saw before. And they ask me like, yo, Cito, is this safe to claim? Can I claim this coin? Because I heard like it can happen that if you connect your wallet that to a fake site, that your wallet gets drained. So seeing this kind of already shows me that a lot of people are like in this airdrop hype mode, and they're just chasing airdrops left and right, and they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know what they're claiming. And I think, you know, it makes sense to really optimize and maximize eligibility, maybe even set up multiple wallets, but don't overdo it, right? And especially for like coins that you have never heard before. And it's easy to verify. Like, you can go on their Twitter of the project, who is following that project, how long does this account exist, what are they actually contributing, do they have a GitHub? Like, you can verify the legitimacy of the project for yourself before you ask anybody, but just doing like basic 10-minute research. But I see people are not even doing that, right? They just want to like connect wallet and claim and then see how much it is. I understand, it's like dopamine, it's also part of the game. But yeah, just be very careful. Use hardware wallets. People are still not using hardware wallets. Use hardware wallets, at least for like a chunk of your money, right? It doesn't have to be for everything. I also have some hot wallets, but most of my money is on a hardware wallet. So yeah, do that. Multiple backups, key management, very important. And just if you're in doubt, and if you ask people and you don't get an answer about, can I claim this coin, this airdrop, then don't claim it. Like, you're going to hate yourself more if you connect and you get hacked than missing out on 20, 30, 100, or even $1,000. That's not worth it. So that really is the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, get it first. So stay safe out there. And with that being said, CryptoCito, once again, thank you for joining us. We will do this episode next month once again. I'm very curious what projects we will see. And in the meantime, please go ahead, follow CryptoCito, follow StakeCito, subscribe to his YouTube channel if you want to get all of the amazing Cosmos airdrops while staying safe in the ecosystem, to stress this once again. So yeah, Cito, thank you again, and I hope I see you soon.
Thank you, sir. See you soon.